I want to start with the classic adage, the tortoise and the hare. So my mom used to tell me this story every night, and I was thinking about it again, and I realized there are a few valuable lessons to be taken. Most importantly, consistency versus inconsistency. So one of the brilliant characteristics of the tortoise, do you see the tortoise from Kung Fu Panda? Tortoises are pretty smart. But one crucial aspect to this tortoise's methodology was that even though he was going slow, he was going at a consistent pace throughout the whole race. On the other hand, our other friend, the hare, was pretty inconsistent. He was overconfident, he sprinted half the race, and then he took a nap. So, where am I going with this? Well, teens like me, we're some of the most inconsistent groups of people. One day we want to do this, one day we want to do that. One day I woke up and I was like, hey, I want to do stand-up comedy. So here I am, I'm standing, I'm doing stand-up comedy. Yeah, so that doesn't work, and the next day we're gonna go solve climate change. We can never decide on what we want to do, and then somehow we have to answer the perpetual question of the meaning of life and decide about college, all while watching Netflix on a Tuesday night while finishing a project due at 11:59 Tuesday night. There is so much pressure on today's youth to succeed and change the world. But how does this reflect on their health, specifically their mental health? Well, according to the CDC, 1 in 5 American children ages 3 to 17 has a diagnosable mental health condition in a given year. 75% of those cases have to do with severe stress or anxiety from family, social circles, or school. We're placing the burdens of society on our nation's youth and the effect our lives filled with stress, anxiety, and other mental health qualms. Additionally, 46% of Americans will meet the criteria for a mental health crisis at least once during their lifetime. Mental health is omnipresent. I can stand here being sure that every single person watching this has been affected by mental health. The reality is that everyone has a mind and brain that needs to be taken care of, and thus everyone has mental health. A lot of the time, we try to convince ourselves that everything is fine and that our mental health doesn't matter. But it's okay to not be fine. This not fineness happened to me and one of my best friends in sophomore year. So he just got piled a bunch of schoolwork, he was taking care of his family, and he was just overwhelmed. For me, I was playing the same balancing act, and to be completely honest, my first high school girlfriend just dumped me. And looking back on it, it was pretty trivial, but sophomore year, me was distraught. So, in the beginning, we were both hiding our emotions and stressors because, we thought our mental well-being didn't matter. But over the course of a few months, we became so stressed and burnt out that we could barely handle the pressure of talking to some of our classmates. Finally, we realized that we needed help and that we took ownership of our stress and mental health and found a way to get help. So while I was thinking about ways to kind of get help and de-stress us, the one thing that kept coming back to me was running. So I've been on my cross-country and track and field team for the past 4 years. And what I really liked about it was not the racing and the competitive aspect. It was more about going out with a group of 3 or 4 of us and just running with no goal in mind. We're not running for a time, we're not running for a distance, but with no goal. So this really made running for me an almost meditative activity where I could, just understand my thoughts and just be encapsulated in the world around me. And from that passion, and from that love of running, I created Stay Running, a 501c3 nonprofit that advocates for, in my opinion, one of the most impactful methods of stress prevention. It's called mindful running, and there are 3 main factors for its stress prevention efficacy: breathing, communication, and exercise. So the first one, we all know, but let's be conscious of this: taking deep breaths. So this actually activates our parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's rest and recovery response. In addition, it actually increases the amount of carbon dioxide in our bloodstream, which synchronizes your heartbeat and breathing. So, to practice this, all you have to do is be consciously taking longer and deeper breaths throughout the day. Ready? Now I want everyone to try it with me. And breathe in. And breathe out. Awesome. I can already feel that you guys are just a little bit less stressed. Perfect. So the second aspect to mindful running is just having conversations. So I know you've heard countless speakers say that we must break down the stigma to mental health. There are hundreds of organizations advocating for this issue. But these organizations are powerless unless we actually sit down and have these uncomfortable conversations. When I'm on a run with a group of 3 or 4 of my teammates, I feel that it's so much easier to have vulnerable conversations because we're all so tired. We don't care about the mental or psychological barriers to having open conversations. We can easily talk about our emotions, our feelings, or anything that's on our mind and can talk about mental health. By opening up the floor for diverse conversations, by creating an environment that is supportive, we can actually help guide each other towards better mental health. And finally, the last aspect to mindful running is exercise. So there are numerous benefits to exercise, but one of the best is actually when you exercise, you release dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine, which are neurotransmitters or feel-good brain chemicals. So these increase your self-esteem, improve your quality of sleep, and clinical trials have actually proven that exercise is an effective and natural anti-anxiety treatment. So what mindful running does is it combines these 3 fantastic stress prevention concepts into one. When you're running, you're forced to take deeper breaths to get enough oxygen into your lungs and muscles. When you're tired, you're more likely to have these open conversations. And finally, the benefits for exercise are just phenomenal. But why is it called mindful running? Is it just one of those buzzwords that fitness gurus and mindfulness and health experts are throwing around? No. For us, mindful running means just running for the act of running. You're not running for a race. You're not running to win a faster time. You're not running to get somewhere. You're running for your own mental health. You're running for your own well-being, and you're running just to be present within yourself. So Stay Running, the nonprofit that I co-founded, it really helps inspire people to start mindfully running as a form of stress management and as a form to really improve their mental health. So one of our main programs actually teaches non-runners the running fundamentals, such as running form, running shoes, and what surfaces to run on. So this is because actually 68% of runners get injured every year because they receive the improper and inaccurate information about running. So we've partnered with over 6 physical therapists from the Seattle area to give accurate and effective information for our entire running group. So after our informational events, we make smaller running groups. And this is so that all these people can meet like-minded runners so they can exercise together, so they can take deeper breaths together, so they can really breathe deeply together, and finally so they can have these conversations. So currently during COVID, the mental health pandemic has adulterated. And as an organization, we have shifted to more virtual events and essentially to virtual communities where people can still share and talk about all these issues and problems and talk about their runs. So, throughout all our events, what we really focus on is building community so that people feel like they have a safe environment where they can be guided towards better mental health. So once again, mental health impacts every single person in every single aspect of their life. Your mind and brain determine the foods that you like, the people that you talk to, and essentially construct our entire reality. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from this talk, it's that it's important to be aware of your mental health and that it's important to take care of it. Go on a run or do any exercise. Try to consciously take more deep breaths throughout the day, and finally, have a conversation with a loved one. Let's treat mental health like a long-distance race. You can't sprint the beginning and expect to make it the whole way, right? Like my mom used to say, slow and steady wins the race. Thank you.